Hi everyone, my name is Maddie, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the books that I am considering reading in July. Hi, hello, it's a sit down video. I have no idea if I'm going to keep making sit down videos, but every so often when the inspiration strikes, like all of this, I may do. So we're here today and I am absolutely not going to be doing like TBRs. I know I loved having a TBR back in the day, and obviously Dart Attack was the most fun, but my reading is way too variable for having a TBR at the moment. I am entirely a mood reader, and also just too many variables in my life dictate how much I can read, and so I can go into a month thinking I can read 20 books and read 2, or vice versa. So I'm not even going to try. But I thought I would let you know some of the books that I am most intrigued by at the moment, the ones that are catching my eye, or have been catching my eye recently, that I think I'm most likely to read in July, if not sometime soon. Also, just to put it out there, apologies if I'm very shiny right now. It is like 8 PM, but it is still 25 degrees in London. I think I've been sweating all day, so we're grim, we're just gonna have to roll with it. But what am I reading this month? So the first 2 books I will talk about are the books I'm actually currently reading, and I'm filming this 5 or 6 days before the end of the month, but I will unlikely finish either of these, and honestly it's not a set month TBR, so it doesn't really matter anyway. The first one is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I am vlogging at the moment, so you'll probably see some of my thoughts of this in that vlog. I am loving it so far. I have just reached page 90, so I'm like almost 20% through because it's just over 500 pages. It is fascinating. I'm absolutely loving it, and I'm enjoying it I think even more so because I saw R.F. Kuang at an event in Edinburgh like September last year when the book came out, and that I'm seeing so many things she said reflected in this book, and that's making it even more enjoyable. Very brief plot summary as best I can for having read the first 90 pages. This follows Robin, who is a boy that is taken from his home of China, Canton in China, and brought over to the UK, to England by a professor, and basically is taken in as his ward. It's very like Dickensian orphan child vibes, which R.F. Kuang spoke about, and is trained up to go to Oxford University and work in like the world of translation, where there's some sort of magic involved. That's about all I know. It's about all I want to know. I'm excited to see what else it holds. It has been so much easier to read so far than I expected, so we'll see how it goes from here. The other book I'm in the middle of, which I really need to finish, is Page Boy by Elliot Page, memoir. Really, really interesting. I'm loving it. I'm listening to it on audio. I think I have like 5 chapters left, which is not very much at all, but I need to get it finished. I'm really enjoying it. I just don't have that many opportunities to listen to audiobooks. I only tend to listen to them when I'm doing something else, so it's quite a niche moment I need to find to listen to them. So not 100% sure when I'll finish this, but hopefully in the next few weeks. I also definitely need to re-listen to a couple of chapters because I listened to them whilst sitting doing nothing and nodded off, because that's what I do when I listen to audiobooks, especially because Elliot has a really soothing voice and he narrates it. So those are the current reads, which we're going to get out of the way as quickly as possible and move into my other books. So I'm sure many of you will remember back in the day, I was a massive fantasy reader. Well, for the last 1.5 2 years-ish, that has been way less the case. Maybe not even that long, but I've been reading less and less fantasy, and I wondered if I'd just sort of grown out of it, and I've been reading a lot more literary fiction and contemporary stories and things like that, and so I wasn't sure whether fantasy was still my thing. The kick has come back in the last few weeks, few months, don't know why, but we're going to make the most of it. So the 2 main books on this most likely to be read list are fantasies. One is Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb. I was, funny anecdote, watching a Riley Marie video earlier where she was talking about this book and said, oh, is it just me or has everyone read The Fourth Wing and then gone out and bought loads of dragon books? And I felt very called out by the fact that she said that, and I'd literally read The Fourth Wing, and then I'd been eyeing this up for a while, but having read The Fourth Wing is when I kind of decided I may want to actually get this, so yeah, we are all the same. This is a YA/adult, I'm not entirely sure where it falls. I think it may just about fall into adult fantasy book, following a world where all the dragons are gone. I think they were hunted many a year ago, but they are actually now revered as gods, and they do not forget how they were treated before. I think there's some kind of shape-shifting, because I think we're following a main character who is dragon but also human in some ways. I believe it is a non-binary or genderqueer of some description, not main character, which is also the thing that really made me pick this up when I found that piece of information out. So this is queer, it is dragons. What else do you need to know? I need to read it. The other fantasy-esque book is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I don't know a huge amount about this book. Two rivals, two stories, two hearts, one fate. When two rival journalists find love through a magical connection, their fate depends on their facing the depths of hell together. After centuries of sleep, the gods are warring again. All 18-year-old Iris Winnow wants to do is hold her family together. With a brother forced to fight on behalf of the gods now missing from the front line and a mother drowning her sorrows, Iris's best bet is winning the columnist promotion as the Oath Gazette. At the Oath Gazette. But when Iris's letter to her brother falls into the wrong hands, those of the handsome but cold Roman Kit, her rival at the paper, an unlikely magical connection forms. Expelled into the middle of a mystical war, typewriters in tow, can their bond withstand the fight for the fate of mankind and most importantly love? Enemies Lowest fantasy novel. Many things about this does not sound like my kind of book. However, Lauren from Fiction Tea over on Instagram, Bookstagram, Instagram, that place, is obsessed with this book and keeps going on about it. And so I have caved and purchased it. I have actually purchased the Fairy Loot edition, although I don't have a Fairy Loot subscription yet. I'm waiting for one because A, the cover, B, the edges, but most importantly, it was the naked hardback for me. Like, I am not over this and I wanted it. So I got this edition. Also the end papers have foiling on them, which is always really cool. So I have that edition because it was a requirement and I'm very intrigued. It feels like the kind of thing that's just going to suck me in and I'm going to end up reading it in like a day, which I kind of feel like I need sometimes. Then still on the fantasy kind of front, I have a couple of novellas. One is a reread. This is How You Lose the Time War. I, as I said, read this before. This is a reread. And at the time, I think was probably on the way out of my love of fantasy and definitely didn't enjoy the kind of book where it doesn't really make sense and you don't really know what's happening and you have to vibe with it. I wanted like a plot with a conclusion. So this slightly frustrated me. However, I'm much more into that like slightly weird things now. So I'm hoping I will enjoy this more. So I'm going to give it another go. This is Sapphic, time travel, enemies to lovers, and all written in letters, and are being really confusing and really weird, but really interesting, so I'm going to give it a go. I then have Fonda Lee's new novella, which is called Untethered Sky. I have just finished reading the Jade Saga? Greenbone Saga series a month or two ago. Shocking, no one more than me that I decided to pick up Jade Legacy out of nowhere, but I did. And it wasn't my favourite thing ever. I really enjoyed it, I really appreciated it. It just didn't grab me in the way it does some people, but I think that's probably more because of how I read it over like 2.5 years versus anything else. But this is, I don't know what this is about, an epic fantasy fable about the pursuit of obsession at all costs. Esther's family was torn apart when a manticore killed her mother and baby brother, leaving her with nothing but her father's painful silence and a single overwhelming need to kill the monsters that took her family. Esther's path leads her to the King's Royal Mews, where the giant rocks of legend have flown to hunt manticores by their brave and dedicated ruckers? Not sure how to say that. Paired with a fledgling rock named Zara, Esther finds purpose and claim by devoting herself to a calling that demands absolute sacrifice and a creature that will never return her love. The terrifying partnership between woman and rock leads Esther not only to the Empire's most dangerous manticore hunt, but on a journey of perseverance and acceptance. We know I love a Tor novella. This one sounds amazing. I trust Fonda Lee to do a great job with it, so intrigued to give it a go. I am trying to work out an optimal filming position in my new flat, and I'm deciding this is probably not the one because my back is really hurting from how I'm sat on my bed right now. But oh well, a couple more books to go. So I have a couple of contemporaries to kind of mix in, and there's every possibility I'll pick up a romance or like a YA contemporary as well throughout the month, but those are very much mood reads, so I have no idea what of that I'll end up picking up. That's always very much a, I need something quick and easy to read right now and I'll grab something, so I'm not going to try and predict those. But the slightly more lit-ficky ones, I guess. Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. This has been on my TBR for so long and I've almost picked it up so many times and it always gets beat out by something else, but it's high on the list. I want to read it. Again, I'm going to read you the blurb because I don't really know what it's about or how to explain it. Irina obsessively takes explicit photographs of the average-looking men she persuades to model for her scouted from the streets of Newcastle. Placed on sabbatical from her dead-end bar job, she is offered an exhibition at a fashionable London gallery, promising to revive her career in the art world and offering an escape from her rut of drugs, alcohol and extreme cinema. The news triggers a self-destructive tailspin centred around Irene's relationship with her obsessive best friend and a shy young man from her local supermarket who has attracted her attention. Boy Parts is an incendiary debut novel from Liza Clark, pitch black comedy both shocking and hilarious, fearlessly exploring the taboo regions of sexuality and gender roles in the 21st century. It sounds like a very me kind of book. It intrigues me greatly, so I'm going to try and pick that one up soon. I'm aware this stack of books is far more than I'm going to read in a month, especially as at the end of next week, actually on the 3rd of July, so as close to the beginning of July as I can, I am moving on to a new project at work, which is going to be significantly more intense than what I've been on for the last 9 months, which is probably why I've managed to read quite a lot so far this year. So there is every chance I will end up reading no books throughout July. But we can be optimistic. And with that, the next one, Honeybees and the Distant Thunder. This is a translated fiction book about 3 people in a coastal Japanese town, I believe, and a prestigious piano competition. Over the course of 2 feverish weeks, 3 students will experience some of the most joyous and painful moments of their lives. Though they don't know it yet, each will profoundly and unpredictably change the others forever. It sounds fascinating to me, and we know I love a book with music. Yeah, I cannot wait. Like everything else, I really want to get to it. Will I? Who knows? Other than that, only a couple other bits. Number 1, manga. Towards the beginning of this year, I got really into manga, along with a lot of the book community at the moment. I read manga a lot when I was like 15, and then moved on to watching anime, and then moved on to not doing either because I didn't really have access to manga. I'd kind of not forgot about it, but it wasn't like my top priority. And I'm not going to lie, I am awful at watching anything with subtitles because more often than not when I'm watching TV I'm also doing something. I journal, or I'm writing, or I'm doing something. Not always, but a lot of the time, and obviously that makes reading subtitles very difficult. I do try and watch a lot of shows that aren't in English because some of them are way better, but anime kind of dropped off for that reason because I much prefer subbed to dubbed, but subbed was not something I had all the time for. But I'm back into manga now, and Given is my one true love, but I'm up to date on that. But I do want to read Star Collector. It's just a super cute boy love manga, which honestly I just think looks really good. I'll read you the blurb again. Finn has always been lazy. His favourite activities are skipping class, smoking and lounging around. When his girlfriend breaks up with him, telling him to try doing something else for a change, he has no idea where to even start. One night, on a walk around the neighbourhood, he comes across Nico stargazing on a hill. Nico wants nothing to do with this chain-smoking, loudmouthed guy getting in the way of his astronomy, but Finn is intrigued. What's up with this nerdy boy who loves to watch the stars, and why is Finn so captivated by him? I'm intrigued. It looks super, super cute. I often enjoy just a little bit of quick manga to keep me going. The other one I want to read but I don't own yet is Last Gender. I'll put the pictures up here, Volume 2 and Volume 3. I've read Volume 1, I loved it. I need to read the other 2. They are really interesting, almost vignette kind of mangas. So in the first one you were following 4 different stories, 4 different characters, but they interlink in quite a clever way. And yeah, it's all about gender and sexuality in a really interesting setting. I love them, highly recommend. Bit different as well. And then the final thing is non-fiction. I'm rubbish at reading non-fiction, but I love it when I do, so I'm trying to challenge myself to read more, and there are 2 that are really calling to me right now. I am unlikely to read either of them the whole way through, but they're probably one of these is the next I will start. One being Transitions, Our Stories of Being Trans. I think it's got 8 different authors. A visionary, moving and one-of-a-kind anthology of writing on what it means to be trans today and every day. It sounds great. It's a really small one, so it should be quite quick to get through, so it might be a good option. Or I have the much more intimidating non-binary Memoirs of Gender and Identity, again by a lot of different authors. The voices in this anthology highlight how our experiences are shaped by a deeply entrenched gender binary. Powerful first-person narratives break away from mainstream portrayals of gender diversity, cutting across lines of age, race, ethnicity, ability, class, religion, family and relationships. 30 authors illustrate what life could be if we allowed the categories of man and woman to loosen and bend. It sounds super interesting. The different parts within here are what is gender, visibility, standing up and standing out, community, creating a place for the rest of us, trans enough, representation and differentiation, redefining dualities, paradoxes and possibilities of gender. So it sounds super interesting. However, it also looks very intense. This is like proper educational nonfiction, and I could be way too tempted to like pick and choose through essays that sound interesting, but I think if I'm going to read it, I need to try and read it fully so I don't like pick the ones that are interesting to me versus like actually learning a lot about the whole experience. So I really want to tackle this, but whether that'll be this month or anytime soon, I really cannot tell you. So those are all the books. I'm going to put them in a stack for the sheer hilarity of, we know I'm not going to read them all, so why not put them in a stack and laugh at myself? So this, oh my god, I haven't done this in a long time. This is the entire stack. Am I going to read all of those? No shot. But those are the ones I'm most interested in. Those are the books on my mind at the moment that I'm most intrigued to pick up. Hopefully I can get through a handful of them, or maybe I will read something else entirely, who knows. But thought I'd let you know what was on my mind, what I was thinking to read. Let me know if there's any of these you think I should be prioritising, and you will see in vlogs over the coming weeks and months if I actually get to any of them. But that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you liked it, thumbs up, etc, etc. Links to my social media in the description. Not that I use any of them anymore, but they are there. But that is it. So bye, and I'll see you in the next one.